Hi, my name is John Zmickley, and today I'm going to show you how to make a very basic web page using HTML. And HTML is the language of the web. It literally stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it's what browsers read to interpret to show you the website in a visual way. So basically any website that you see is going to be coded in HTML. So it's pretty important to learn this language. So what I'm going to do first is open up a text editor, and if you have a PC you might want to use the program called Notepad, and a more advanced version of Notepad would be Notepad++, and that's specifically for coding. I have a Mac here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a program called TextEdit. And if you use this one, this is the proprietary text editor on any Mac. You might have to change a couple things within the text editor before you get going coding HTML. For one thing, you'll see that the interface here has a lot of options. It lets me choose the font and the size and color and all those kinds of things. We don't really want any of this because what's happening is TextEdit is writing its own code for the file that we would save, and this is called rich text. We don't want rich text, we don't want rulers, we don't want any of this extra stuff. Really, we just want the basic coding. So what you'll have to do if you see this is you'll have to go up to Format, and then you'll click Make Plain Text. So now I'm working with a very basic text file. Another thing that you will have to do with TextEdit is not just convert your file to be plain text, but you're also going to have to go up to Preferences and make sure that it's in plain text here in the format, and then also when you open and save it, you have to make sure that when opening a file, an HTML file, it renders it as HTML code. So you're going to want this first checkbox to be checked also. Once you've done both of those things, then you're ready to be coding in TextEdit. What I'm going to be using for this tutorial is a program called Text Wrangler. It's a really great tool for Macs and PCs. You can download it for free. Again, it's called Text Wrangler, and one great thing I like about it is that it color codes a lot of what we'll be doing today, so I can easily find all my tags. So here I'm starting with just a very basic page, and HTML is coded using tags. And so the first thing that I have to do is type in HTML, and you'll notice that these tags are denoted with the less than and greater than signs. Okay, so what the browser reads is I'm starting to tell it on line 1, start reading the language of HTML. Then I'm going to go down to the very bottom here, and I'm going to close it. And the way you close it is using a slash. Okay, so not only do I have the less than greater than sign, but I also got this slash. So basically I told the browser to start reading HTML and now stop reading HTML. And again, these are called tags. Any tag that you open, you also need to close. Okay, now there's two parts to any HTML page. The first part is the head, and that is for metadata and mostly things that you don't see on the web page. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, open and close it. And so there's not a whole lot of stuff that we're going to put up there right now. A bulk of what you will see on a web page is going to show up in the body. So I'm going to open that and then close it here. So you can see this is a very basic skeleton of an HTML document. You've got your HTML that opens and closes. I've got my head that opens and closes, and my body that opens and closes. Notice that I have to close my head before my body starts. Okay, so right now this is a very blank document. Like I said, 99% of what you see on a web page will be viewed in the body. But one thing that you do kind of see that's going to be in the head is what's called your title. And this is a way to kind of tag your web page. If you had maybe 5 different, I'm sure you've had a few tabs open in a browser, this is the information that would show up in the tab of the browser. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this johnzmickley.com, and then I'm going to make this my home page. So here we go with my title. So notice that I've opened and closed it. And these tags can show up on the same line. You'll see my title is the first one that you've seen that I've opened and closed it all on the same line. So right now, if I were to save this web page, I'm going to go ahead and do that. File, Save As. I'm just going to save it on my desktop. And I'm going to save it as index.html. Make sure that you have the HTML extension on here, or else the browser won't really read it as an HTML. And make sure that you're using all lowercase. And since this is my home page, I'm going to call it index.html. Go ahead and save it. Now you'll see that the colors all changed, that all my content now is in black and all my tags are blue. So now what I can do is I can go to my desktop here, it just popped up, and all I have to do is double click it. And in comes my web page. Now it's a big white blank page. There's nothing that you visibly see that I've done yet, but you can see my title does say johnsmickley.com home up here. So I'm going to go back into my text wrangler, and what I recommend is just keeping these two windows open, one for editing and then one for testing it in the browser. So just to show you a few more tags that you can put in, obviously we want to put some text here. So the largest form of text is what's called an H1. It's a heading. Heading 1. So I'm just going to say something like welcome. Notice that I open and close it. I'm going to go ahead and save it by doing Command S, and then I'm going to refresh it in my browser, and there it is. I could also use not just H1, but H2. And again, this is not ordinal. I don't have to have an H1 before I have an H2, but it has to do with size. So the largest size is an H1, second largest is an H2, third largest obviously would be an H3, and so on, all the way down to H6. Now the next tag that I'm going to show you is a paragraph, and that is how most of your regular content will show up. And so my site is all about John Smickley, lecturer at Texas State University. Go ahead and close that. So you'll notice that I opened up my paragraph here and then I closed it here just like I did with the H1. Go ahead and save it and refresh it. So now you can see that I've got my heading, my paragraph, and I can just go on and just continue doing this inside the body as much as I want to. Another tag that you might want to use is a tag to create a bulleted list, and that is the tag UL, and that stands for unordered list. I'm going to go ahead and close that with a slash. Now, this is known as a nested tag because not only do I want to tell the browser to start reading a list and then close it, but I need list items. This means that I have kind of tags within tags. Some of my favorite bands. I'm going to open it, close it, open it, close it, and then open it, close it. So what you can see here is that I've got a tag that the unordered list opens and closes, and then within that I've got an open and close, open and close, open and close. Again, just the basics of anything you open, you have to close. I'm going to refresh that, and there you can see all of my favorite bands, not all of them, but just a few. And the same thing would go if I had an ordered list. I would just change this to OL, go ahead and save it, refresh, and now it's a 1, 2, 3 instead of a bulleted list. So this is a very basic HTML page, and you can continue adding more and more content to it. Just make sure that any tag that you open, you also close. In the next video, we're going to talk about attributes and values and how you can customize the tags we've already made. And I'm also going to show you how to code images and links on your web page.